what's on my mind this morning? This morning, I'm thinking about how policy positions can make or break political fortunes. In Jamaica, we like to say that elections are won based on a number of things, organization, catchy slogans, fiery speeches. But more often than not, they're won or lost on everyday policies that touch people's lives. Now, why am I on election? Because we are now exactly 1 week from the day that Jamaica decided that they would return the Jamaica Labour Party to power. And that made me introspect, Tana, on the premise of how policy positions really impacted the minds of voters. And when you look at 2016, there was one policy position that I think pulled the Jamaica Labour Party over the line, which was 1.5. I remembered that. I cannot forget that. I remembered how then opposition leader, now Prime Minister Andrew Holness, was on those ads explaining this 1.5 and the impact it would have on individuals. Now, in 2025, we see something very similar happening. Both parties presented plans. Of course, there was the plan for 3.5, which would be an increase on top of an increase of that 1.5, which the government is currently moving to about 2 million. And the opposition presented that. The government presented some tax cuts, raise in minimum wage, but I don't think that was the one that took the cake this election, Tana. I think we have to look at something very simple, very potent: the rural school bus system. The video I wanted Jermaine to play was a video on TikTok where young ladies, Tana, made videos to say, I'm in the rural school bus.
Where are you?
Where are you? I wanted him to play that video so that persons could see how the students are reacting to it. Why? Because under Minister Darrell Vaz, this thinking about this rural school bus system first implemented in his own parish and constituency with private donations of buses for them to test it, right? And then after that testing phase, they decided, this is probably something that would work well nationally. They then had to go ahead, find the funds as it relates to getting it in the right time for school, September morning, and started to plan and test for the rollout. Now, the thinking behind it is clear. Children in rural Jamaica face unique challenges getting to school. Parents in places like Portland, Clarendon, St. Mary, St. James, just to name a few.
St. Elizabeth.
St. Elizabeth. Yeah, just to name a few. They pay heavy fares to send their children to school, often sacrificing other needs just to make sure their child gets there. Trelawney, I can't name all, but you get the point. Some students walk long miles on unsafe roads. Others miss classes altogether because the cost of transportation is simply too high. The government stepped in with a simple but powerful solution: a school bus system. It eases the burden on parents, ensures that children arrive at school safely and on time. This is a policy rooted, Tana, in the lived reality of Jamaicans, rural Jamaicans. And now the politics. The People's National Party, they opposed it. But here's the issue. They did not come with a better plan. They did not come with a practical alternative. Their opposition looked less like vision and more like reflex. And when that happens, you don't just lose the argument, you risk losing the trust of the voters who are watching very carefully. So I saw the attacks. I saw the attacks on Twitter. I saw the attacks on social media. When the buses were being tested and they had tire issues, the attacks were even louder, because they wanted so badly. Well, not necessarily opposition, but the surrogates thereof wanted so badly to see some semblance of failure, to say that it just won't work. Why? Why would you do that? The real story, though, is in the rollout. You see, once the buses hit the road, the reaction was undeniable. Children were boarding with smiles, laughter, and even pride. So social media flooded with videos of students waving from bus windows, posting TikToks about their new rides, celebrating the fact that for once, government action reached them directly. Parents were relieved, grateful for the financial ease, the safety, the certainty that children could now get to school without daily worry. And that's what makes policy so important. It was not a press release. It was not a promise for the future. It was something families could see, touch, experience immediately. That authenticity is what gives the Jamaica Labour Party in this instance and Minister Darrell Vass genuine credit, real brownie points. And this is not earned in Parliament, but in the hearts of the parents and the children that benefited and will continue to benefit from this rural school bus system. But beyond the political advantage lies something even greater, the children themselves. Every seat filled on those buses is a child who will reach class on time, a child better able to focus on learning, a child given the dignity and the opportunity to get their education. These buses are more than vehicles. They are mobile bridges to a brighter future. So when you ask if policies matter in politics, I believe they definitely do. And for me, in looking back at this election, a lot of persons who, aren't really political, Tana, they're just sitting to the side wondering who to vote for. When they see you oppose such a system, they question what is your real mandate. And on that one, I can tell you, if we were doing football like Jamaica versus Trinidad last evening, the JLP definitely give the PMP a hot one love, because people feel, understand, and experience that one policy position. So what's on my mind this morning? It's that in the smile of those students waving from the buses, waving out those bus windows, we see the very best of what politics can achieve. When policies put people first, and especially when they put children first, the nation moves forward. And honestly, that is something worth celebrating. So I'm happy, even though some will say they found it a part of the political foray when the buses were touring before they got to this point. I say I'm looking beyond that, and I'm looking at the impact on the children, the impact on our education system. And if the government can implement more programs like this, we see more where policy matters so much in this context of politics. And that's what's on my mind.